I think my Z06 is broken. Something doesn't feel right. Can't quite figure it out. It's insane. And it's got a ton of torque and the brakes. Holy crap. All right, we're gonna see if we can get 1,000 horsepower on the meter. Feels like it's missing power. I'm not exactly sure. Slow down and hit it from second gear. Yeah, there's definitely something wrong. And I think I just figured out what it is. I'm spoiled. I just got back from Car Week driving the brand new 2026 Corvette ZR1. And literally, I bet you if you put this on the dyno and that ZR1 on the dyno, I bet the ZR1's making close to twice the horsepower of this Z06, which is crazy. I mean, it makes my Z06 feel broken. Just doesn't have that instant torque of the ZR1. Anyone who drives the ZR1 goes back to the Z06 is gonna have some real trouble because it just doesn't feel the same. I mean, Z06, granted, does sound better, you know, but when I was driving that ZR1 around Monterey and down to Big Sur, under normal driving conditions, just like this, just kind of cruising around, it actually sounds very similar. Roads. This kind of reminds me of Foothills, a little bit of the drag in here. Todd's driving slow, come on, get out of here with that GT. Until you get on the throttle. And when you get on the throttle, you lose that crispness of the exhaust that you hear here. But you get this huge turbo whoosh and instant torque and just unbelievably amount of power. I mean, I've got it floored, and don't get me wrong, I mean, it's still quick. But after driving the ZR1, Z06 feels broken. So I need help from Chevy because I'm on a couple of lists to buy the ZR1, both the ZR1 and the ZR1X. Obviously, I would prefer the X. Extra horsepower, all-wheel drive for drag times. I mean, what else can you ask for? You know, 1,250 horsepower, all-wheel drive, mid-engine is going to be absolutely insane. Chevy says it's going to run 8s. That puts it up there with like a Lucid Sapphire of towards of just quarter-mile times. But of course, you get, you know, the sound and incredible driving dynamics of the ZR1. Let's give it a real quick launch, because I know it launches nothing like the ZR1 either, but let's go. Wow, so it spun so much there, it actually dropped out of automatic mode and wouldn't even shift. So, I mean, yes, the Corvette's got a bunch of settings for the launch control, and I definitely had it cranked up a bit. Probably need to kind of lower the RPMs. That was a 5,000 RPM launch and 0 slip. And even though traction's off, it just kind of spun and then just fell on its face. It should have let the spin kind of ride out a little bit, especially with traction off. Nevertheless, because the ZR1's got turbos, it launches at a less RPM. That was 5,000 RPM for the Z06, and I think the ZR1's only launching at like maybe 3,000 or 3,500, because it can modulate the power with those turbos a lot better. Turbo cars always, even though they're rear-wheel drive, launch better than their naturally aspirated counterparts, because on the naturally aspirated side, you just got to rev it up so high. Now for the mountain roads, could you really use the extra horsepower of the ZR1? Maybe not. I mean, just to take these kind of corners, you're not on it like so much to use 1,000 horsepower, but it would be nice to get that instant amount of torque coming out of some of these corners. So if I downshift right here, oh, we got a little water coming across, careful, now we just picked up some water. like downshift, you're coming out of a corner. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't have the torque. I thought that I wouldn't enjoy like the ZR1, that it might be too much horsepower up here, and I would keep the ZR1 back at home. But now I'm thinking maybe not. Maybe I just bring the ZR1 up here. Now the 2026 is obviously have the different interior, and which I like a lot better. The launch control button is hidden. I actually couldn't even find it when I was driving the ZR1 out in California. It's down on the lower left here, below the extra screen on the left, where your heads-up display adjustments are for here. There's a little rocket button down there, and that's where the launch control button is hidden for the 2026 interior cars. Up in here in Tennessee are pretty incredible. Just look out here to the left. Got the beautiful mountain views out here. But listen to that flat plane crank, naturally aspirated sing. We got a bunch of cars up here. Got some BMWs hanging out. Now, speaking of broken cars, if you're watching my ZR1 videos down in South Florida, we did all that drag racing. You know, listen, I'm a Chevy fan. I want the ZR1, don't get me wrong. And there was no way I wasn't going to pass up an opportunity to race the ZR1 no matter what the weather was. Now, a lot of people, the Chevy fanboys and all those kind of real hardcore Chevy guys are saying, oh no, you know, but Brooks, the ZR1 was broken, you know, it wasn't running right, it dynoed lower numbers. Look, weather has crazy effects on cars. And if you were out there, you would have realized it was nuts hot. It was crazy hot. I mean, we were all drenched. The Revuelto was trapping 7 miles an hour lower than normal, wasn't running its normal times. And, you know, there's a couple other people like my friend Inez who have run way better, and I get it. The car's definitely a lot faster in the right weather conditions, but there is no way that car was broken. It was just the weather. So that's it. And you know what? Mike from Street Speed called me out and says he wants to race. And I said, come on down next weekend. He's like, no, I'm busy. He just wants to wait for the weather to be better because he knows his car is going to run the same. And to further prove this point, Christian went and ran his car at the drag strip because I was like, look, go out at night. Maybe it's not blazing hot. Take off the rear wing and let's see what we get. Now, granted, he was spinning during those runs and still ran like 9.8. However, his 60 to 130 time went from like 5.5 of a best when we raced in the heat down to 4.9 without the wing. And it was still 90 degrees out. So that just shows you the weather makes a huge difference. Now, if you're up in Pennsylvania or New Jersey where my other friends are, of course you're gonna drop another half a second off the 60 to 130 in that better weather, and you'll be running the same 60 to 130 times that they're running. I'm so confident in that, I will challenge Mike, come down here and race. I'll bring out Christian's white car, and we'll race heads up. Let's see if that car is really broken. Now, I don't think Mike's gonna come down personally. Even though I got every car he wants to race. Lucid Sapphire, Porsche Taycan Turbo GT, Tesla Plaid with a tune. Actually have a Tesla Plaid available to me that has a tune, makes an extra 100 horsepower. Because, you know, frankly, his car's modified now. He did exhaust, dropped some weight, and he picked up over 100 horsepower. And I know in his video he made a big deal about making 100 horsepower, but then when it comes down to racing, he's like, oh, it only makes a difference, it's only a couple horsepower. But hey, it made 100 horsepower down in the lower RPMs where you might not be using it normally, but hey, when you're launching the car at 3,000 RPM, of course the 100 horsepower is gonna make a difference. And that might hurt his times on the street, because when he called me out in his last video, he couldn't even get into the 9s. I mean, really? You can't even get into the 9s on the street? I was doing that in my 765 LT, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. So look, at the end of the day, you know, he called me out, I'm open to it. I said, come on down. He's procrastinating and saying he's busy. You know, he's just waiting for the weather to cool off, and that's fine. Look, I want to get the best times out of the ZR1 too. And I'm happy if he beats me in all my cars. That's great, fantastic. Really doesn't matter to me. I just want to make good content and bring you guys good videos. So, Mike, come on down. And you know what? I have 2 other friends with ZR1s that are getting the next few weeks. So if you don't come down, I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm here waiting for you, buddy. All right, so in all reality, no, the Z06 is not broken, but it sure does feel broken after being spoiled with the ZR1 out in Cali. Man, I sure hope Chevy or one of my dealers gets an allocation soon so I can bring some incredible content to you all with the new ZR1 or ZR1X preferably. Out here in the Tennessee mountains, these roads are just pretty incredible, and I hope to get a similar spec, yellow carbon wheels. I am gonna do the coupe, not the convertible, because I like that split window, and we could just drop the top off with the Target top off when we want to do some open top driving. But you know, take a look out here and just the views are just crazy out here. It's just such a beautiful place to be. The weather is so much better than South Florida. It's like 75 degrees, sunny. We got wildlife all over the place. Just a really, really cool place for just driving and just having a lot of fun out here. All right, so if you want to see me get a ZR1 or preferably a ZR1X, drop in the comments, say, Chevy, let's go, get Brooks a ZR1. I know for sure there's at least 2 other influencers who are getting priority access to early delivery ZR1 and ZR1X. I'm actually pretty good friends with one of them, and even if I don't get the car, we're gonna bring you the racing. But anyways, drop in the comments, tell Chevy, Brooks needs a ZR1. Maybe that'll help out, give me an early allocation. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up, helps the video channel, and we'll go back to racing soon whenever someone comes down and wants to race in the miserable, hot Florida weather. Thanks for watching.